there. Welcome to a Strata Prime conversation about artificial intelligence. My name is Cindy. I'm the Director of Marketing here. Strata Prime is a Google Cloud partner servicing organizations in Canada and the US. We have a deep specialization in work transformation, and we're experts in security and identity management. Joining me today is our principal architect, Andrew. Would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Cindy. So, hi, everybody. I'm Andrew Livingstone, Principal Architect at Strata Prime. I've been an admin in the Google community for over 12 years and been working in software for about 25 years. And I'm looking forward to talking about AI and Workspace today.
So our objective today is to help you better understand what to expect in this space, particularly as it relates to the Google ecosystem. This is a highly relevant conversation, whether you're an end user of Google Workspace, whether you're an admin, or you're considering Google Workspace as a solution. So to get started, Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about Google's journey with AI?
Yeah, so Google's been, a leader in AI, particularly, on the infrastructure side, designing some of the chips that power modern AI systems to features that have been sort of embedded in things that we sort of use every day, like Google Assistant, that we take for granted. But on the workspace side, there's been a lot of attention recently on the developments that Google's putting into the product, partially because of all the news media, as you mentioned, with ChatGPT and Microsoft getting into the market. But the reality is that Google's been playing in this space for quite some time. I think most people, if they've been a Google Workspace user, would have noticed AI features coming into the user experience. Probably around 2019 and 2020 is where we started to see suggested edits to documents and most recently chat summaries. So in that kind of 2019 to 2022 space, Google's actually pushed a lot of AI features into the product. And it's been something that we've been talking about at some of the annual developer conferences. So, if you take a step back and look at things that, as admins or users we weren't aware of, it actually goes back almost 10 years to 2015. So Google has like almost a decade of putting these features into the products. And I think a lot of people aren't aware of that or they just didn't realize it. And most recently, with a lot of the attention being around chat-based tools with AI, that's really come to the surface and opened up some new ways for Google to enhance the products. So there's a lot of things that are coming down the pipeline for Workspace specifically that will start to bring those capabilities into the hands of end users.
Do you have any examples of what's on the roadmap for Google Workspace and AI capabilities?
So we're going to talk a little bit about the features that have been announced and that we've seen publicly discussed, but there are also some things that were previously committed into the Google's roadmap for Workspace, which is under NDA. So if you're a customer, you can try and join the Customer Connect community to get access to that. But since this will be a public broadcast, I can't go into too much detail. But Google has additional AI features that were already scheduled for release during this year. And some of them fall into security, and some of them continue to build on some of the content capabilities that they've had for some time.
Mm-hmm. Now, with the relationship with Bard and the Google Workspace AI, is there a dependency there? Are they the same thing? Like how are they actually different if they are?
It is a great question. So Bard is a consumer-facing service. It is not intended to be used with Google Workspace accounts and used for business. Although you can, if you're a workspace admin and you want to enable Bard in your domain, there's actually a double opt-in that you need to do. You have to actually enable experimental or early access features and then provide Bard access to your tenant in order to enable workspace accounts to use it. In general, though, as an admin, it's not something that I would recommend to use a consumer service with our workspace accounts. The features that are more geared towards professional use are on the GCP side, Vertex AI being a enterprise grade solution for generative AI features and some others. But on the workspace side, it's going to be these Duet AI features that will make it into Workspace and permeate our experience in Docs, Slides, and Sheets and Drive and give us helpful suggestions in that chat interface. So the takeaway here is Bard exists. There's no dependency on it to enable the Duet AI features. They're mutually exclusive from my perspective, but you do have the option to enable it if that's something that you'd like to experiment with in your domain.
So with the release of Bard, how widely has it been released? Like what countries is it available in?
So Bard, the consumer service, has been made available in many jurisdictions. I think it's up to over 150 countries at this point. But there's some jurisdictions that haven't opened it up for use. So if you try to sign up for BARD, it'll just tell you it's not available in your country. As an example, Canada is one of those jurisdictions. And there hasn't been anything that's been publicly discussed. So our expectation is that in those jurisdictions, it's just undergoing some further regulatory approval before it's released. Similarly, on the Duet AI side, right? So the workspace commercial features to use inside Google Workspace. There are some early access features that are being made available, and Google's actually released a sign up page that we'll put up on the screen right now, where you can visit and sign up. And again, similar to Bard, the release of the sign up for early access Duet features is also going through like a country by country rollout. So right now, it's available for some select customers in the US. In Canada, we haven't seen access be opened up yet, but that is changing on a daily basis. So at the time that this goes live, please go and check because it may have changed.
Can you give us some example of what specific Duet AI capabilities are coming for Google Workspace?
Yeah, so Google's given us a lot of good sort of screenshots and snippets and some of their communications about what's coming into Workspace in these upcoming releases. And I think it falls into a few broad categories. So there's content generation or generative AI features. And then there's things that I would categorize as helpful or organizational kind of suggestions. So in Gmail, we're going to see summaries added to Gmail messages. Similar to that we have in Google Chat right now, where I can take a long email thread and it will be summarized to give me a few succinct lines of what was discussed in that email. And that summarization feature is amazing just in itself in terms of how it will save time for people at the end of the day checking emails and catching up on a long thread. Now, the other thing is that you'll be able to generate email drafts based on either putting a few lines in or even suggesting a piece of content. An example that they've used, which is on screen now, is highlighting a few action item follow-ups just in short form, and then Google allowing us to structure that into an email draft that you might put a few small touches on. So in Gmail, I think we're going to see this help me write or help me get started, as well as the ability to summarize long email chains and see what's being discussed. So with Google Meet, they're also adding AI features that will be helpful in terms of doing some summarization of meeting notes. Today we have transcription that will record everything that is said in a meeting into a nicely formatted Google document, but it's the whole document. So you'd have to read through this giant document of all the meeting notes. They'll apply the same summarization features to shorten that up to some succinct summaries. I think another thing that I'm really interested there as somebody who attends a lot of meetings is the capturing of action items. So Meet will have the ability to capture action items during the meeting and add those to the summaries, which I think will be very helpful. So moving on then to Google Chat, where we've had summarization for some time, they're actually going to be enhancing the features there with Help Me Write. So that doing more suggestive content to help people write messages, as well as continuing to build on some of the features that we've seen around summaries. So into the document editors now, so docs, sheets, and slides, they're all getting some very interesting things. So in docs, this is where we're going to see some of the generative AI features to help you create content. And this will take a few different forms. It will be a little sort of button that's going to be in the top right-hand corner near your avatar that you can click, which will bring up a kind of chat-like interface where you can ask questions and get responses, almost like a little layer that's going to sit on top of our document editors. But then you can also ask it to suggest content. And this is where you've seen examples like the one that we're showing now where it says, help me write a job description. These generative AI features in their present state, I think, solve what I would call the first 20-minute problem, right? I've got a task to do. I've got a document to write. I want something that's just going to get me started, not something that I'm going to just use and submit. So it will help you create a structure for this outline or proposal, and then you can kind of march forward. And I don't think that's too novel. Most people have seen examples of that lately. But moving into Sheets, there's this interesting feature of Get Me Started where you can loosely structure or even ask for a layout of tasks or agenda, and it will build a table for you with owners and actions and status tracking using some features that have been added into Sheets with smart chips like drop-down. So it's building on some of the smart canvas features that have been launched and then layering this AI on top of it to help build something for you. Again, I think that's the first 20-minute problem. It's going to help me solve for some of that content creation in the early stages of a task. And then on slides, something that I think is really interesting is they'll take the generative AI, but they'll apply it to the content in your slide to generate speaker notes. So if you've just gone through and created your slides and your outlines and you have all your content, you can say, generate some speaker notes for me, or generate images. And these are things that will help people that maybe really shine at the presentation part, but not so much on the actual art of creating slides or generating images. And we've heard that the image generation engine will also use actually AI created images as well as those that are sourced through Google search. So it'll be really interesting to see what that looks like. So rounding this out, I think like on the email and the Meet and the chat side, we've got a set of features that will be helpful, organized, tracking tasks, summarization. In Gmail, also helping you with the getting started and writing content. And on doc sheets and slides, a lot of generative features to help you create things. So it's going to be really interesting, Sydney, to see how these release and how quickly we get access to them, but also how they're built on, because this is version 1. And as Google's shown over 10 years, they've sort of incrementally added value through many releases in the past.
So many really cool Google Workspace AI capabilities coming. What about on the Google Cloud Platform side? What's new over there?
So GCP is a little bit further down the runway in terms of features. They've been in the works for longer. There's things that are more available in production today. So as I mentioned earlier, so Bard is really designed as a consumer product, consumer facing. On the enterprise side, there is Vertex AI, which is in Google Cloud Platform. And that will give customers access to state-of-the-art language models where they can actually build and integrate AI features into their applications and suites while controlling their data. So it's really aimed at being an enterprise tool. And Google will make generative AI content available into the Vertex AI suite so that you could build a chat app or build an interactive order taking experience, and have it be able to ingest in near real time information from a customer record as well as input being received in the interaction with the end user. And Google's also making available something called its App Builder Suite, which allows you to rapidly build applications that embed AI features. So if you are interested in developing applications that leverage AI or just adding AI to an existing suite, I would definitely take a look at Vertex AI and the App Builder.
Thank you. That's a really great summary of what's coming. So as a user, I'm very anxious to know, and I'm really curious, what does this all mean to me? Is this stuff available now? When will it be available? And how can I sign up?
Yeah, so with regards to signing up for early access features, Google launched their labs page, which we'll put a link to on the screen. So you don't need a special invitation. You can go there and sign up to be waitlisted for features or get access to features that are available. And it does vary by jurisdiction, as we said before. So in some countries, there's been a wait or it's not open. So check back frequently and often, as well as keep an eye on the Google Workspace updates blog, which is where some of this is getting published.
Switching gears a little bit, as an admin of an organization, what type of controls are available for us? Can we turn it on and off? On for some people, off for others?
Yeah, so this is where Google's been, not trying to rush this out the door. These are things that they've been working on for some time. The features that are coming out now are things that they told us a little bit about last year at last year's I/O as well. And Google's been very careful. They recognize, like in some of the partner briefings that I've been to, where these are not regular features. These are very different, and there's a lot of concerns that admins and security professionals have. So, is this language processing happening outside of my tenant? Can I turn things on and off? So, as admins, what I think that we will expect to see is the ability to opt in to these features. That's my expectation. As right now with Bard, there's actually a double opt-in, 2 steps to enable Bard usage. I think we'll see a similar set of functionalities come into the console for the Duet AI features. The reason I believe that is some of the generative features that are in the product now, like Smart Compose and suggestions, you can turn those off as an admin in docs settings, as an example. So I think that they'll follow the same trend of giving admins a choice, because I could see how some conservative organizations or those in regulated industries might not want to take an early adopter approach and then make sure that this is something that's fully vetted before it's enabled.
Yeah. Speaking of regulated industry, my last question for you today. Security is always at the forefront of everything that StrataPrime does. How does or could AI capabilities improve security posture or have a role to play there?
Yeah, I think of all the areas that AI could be applied, security is one where I think there's a huge opportunity for Google. If you think about like the amount of data, telemetry information from devices, login logs, drive activity logs, just events that are happening across Workspace, there's a lot of information that really could be passed through an AI engine to help, better identify anomalous activity by users, malicious accounts, and things that fall outside of normal activity, and then take proactive stop loss measures to help control. So I
Mhm.
think I'm very optimistic that I will see features that are introduced into the security suite that will address that. And then around data security, I think there's also huge opportunities for Google to leverage AI for things like DLP and sharing and providing better contextual information to users about the outcomes of their activities. And I think what that will lend itself to is better control of information and information sprawl inside companies.
Mhm. Fantastic. So this is certainly a very exciting time to be in the technology world. As I said, I'm very, very looking forward to trying out these generative AI tools in Google Workspace. Andrew, thank you so much for your time today and sharing with us some of your insights and your perspectives. And thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions or want to learn more about how Google solutions can transform the way you work, connect with us. Check the link in the comment section. See you next time.